In this video, I'm joined by not only a very good friend of mine, but a legend in the UK Hex community, always a voice of reason on Twitter, and dropping the alpha on PulseChain and the whole ecosystem all the time. So with no further ado, let me bring up the one, the only Mr. Hex Turbo. Yes, bruv.
Yes, mate. How you doing?
Good to see you, man. It's been way too long for us to have not streamed together. I think the last time was way before PulseChain back in 22, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Huh?
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Or us talking, but actually streaming together was time ago. I reckon.
Well, 2 weeks is in like 2 years, but yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just 2 more weeks. That was it. 2022. It's been 2 weeks since 21. So we've been streaming together when I first started streaming on my channel, and then obviously on Liquid Loans channel. And it was just 2 more weeks. It's finally here, bro. And obviously, we were just talking backstage. You've finally been getting some more sleep because obviously the hype has been real, right?
Mate, the excitement over that launch, literally, I could only sleep a few hours, but the last couple of days, things have calmed down. I can finally sleep a little bit, and I'm feeling good, re-energized, and ready to go.
Ready to go. So let's get your first impressions, man. PulseChain mainnet, your thoughts and your experience so far.
Right. So when it first launched, obviously we had that bridge issue, which everyone was like, "Oh shit!" But it turned out to be quite a good way to get the economic energy in because it wasn't too quick. If it had come in quick, it would have been very volatile. And I think that slow process of like 150, 160 million of economic energy just flowing into PulseChain with that kind of bar to show the progress, I think that helped everything just to stabilize a bit. We obviously saw a massive kind of influx of new buyers trying to get in but couldn't get PLS. So the gas prices were more expensive than people were thinking. So we had to kind of rush to, figure out ways where people could get PLS and all that. And it was a bit messy, but at the same time, it was like just a constant influx of just, amazing news as well. Like the volume put us into like the number 2 position on Dex Screener there. PLS buy and burn was just going absolutely insane. There's just been good news after good news after good news, and now we're kind of having a pullback, and people are just calming down, and everything's just looking really good and set to go. Obviously, we're not in a bull run just yet. Bitcoin's still on like 27k. So if you're expecting like 10, 20, 30x like immediately out the gate, like you're going to be disappointed because we need to wait really until things calm down and we start to get into a bull run. But so far, mate, this PulseChain launch for me has been absolutely much better than what I could have ever expected. In my head, I was imagining it, and it was just I was going to see extreme volatility. But what we're seeing is just this adoption, and even by your regular crypto influencers are now, looking into our direction and adopting kind of PLS and PulseChain and PulseX as kind of the new layer 1 with massive potential. Obviously, you got a few haters here and there, but overall, I think it's been a massive success.
Yeah, so early, you've already got big exchanges adopting it. We've had OKX, closely followed by was it Kanga, and then Safe Trade. People are taking it seriously. I mean, it sounds a bit cliche, finger on the pulse, but you literally have got your finger on the pulse. And that's why a lot of the time, when we talk on Telegram and what's not, you're the one that put me on first to PLS burn. It's just like every day there's something new coming out. There's a new community built site. There's a new site I haven't even looked at yet. It's a comparison site between ERC20s and PRC20s. Have you had a look at that yet?
I saw it pop up on my Twitter feed, and I did pop into there, but I haven't actually gone and used it yet. But yeah, a lot of people are saying that's a really good site to use. That's another thing. Like so many cool sites have come out now. It just shows you that there's a lot of people working to make this like the best layer 1. Like PLS burn obviously is amazing. Accruedinc.com, amazing. We've got these sites popping out of nowhere. It's brilliant, mate. It's brilliant.
It's amazing. So going back to what we were saying, that people were thinking maybe a 10x, a 20x, a 30x out the gate, but obviously we're not in a bull run. Do you think if we were in the bull run, in the midst of a bull run like 2021, we would have seen that really, really like high candle and then a dump?
Definitely. Definitely. It's a different time right now. You can't expect those kind of numbers. If you're getting those numbers, and obviously a lot of people got into the sacrifice, especially PLSX. So there's a lot of people hoping for those massive gains, and unfortunately you need to get rid of a lot of the weak hands before you can move up like that. And we kind of did see it at the beginning with PulseX, especially. It went way below sacrifice levels. I think 90% below at one point. So anyone buying at those levels, they can see like 10. I mean, they would have probably seen a 10x already, right? Because they got in at 90% discount. So for certain people, you'll be seeing those numbers. But yeah, we have to get rid of the weak hands. We have to get people rid of people who are they just don't believe in it. And that's just slowly happening now. With PulseChain, I think it's just going to be a slower kind of move to those kind of numbers. But yeah, if we hit the next bull market, whether it's 2024, 2025, we could easily be seeing those numbers, because people get crazy, man. When the bull market does hit, I don't know about you, but I had people contacting me trying to buy PLS and PLSX, like when it was like up, and they love buying green candles because they just think it's going to go to the moon immediately. Yeah. And you've got to remember with crypto, it's up and down. I mean, yeah, it's up and to the right eventually, but in between it's just up and down, and people get disheartened when they don't make 10x or 20x within like a few days, and it's crazy. You really need to ride this out. This is a long-term play. It's not like you're not going to get rich overnight. And yeah, man, layer ones always perform well, and this one, just the statistics around it have been incredible. I don't think there's anything that even comes close to what PulseChain has done so far. Like literally nothing. We were up there with Ethereum as the top chain with the top amount of volume for all of the chains, and it's like over 100 chains. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
It was great that Dex Screener adopted PulseChain so quickly and obviously integrated it into it, and then you could compare it straight away. And like the fact that we were at that number 2 spot like really quickly, right, within I think less than 7 days, I think we were up there.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, going back to other layer ones, Solana, BNB, all these other layer ones that haven't got communities like this, haven't got stuff like PLS Burn and all these sites. I mean, isn't PLS Burn turning into an app soon as well? I think I saw on Twitter. So that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, they're turning into an app. There's so much just being built, and we haven't even started to see the protocols. Obviously, PowerCity as well. Like they're going to be rolling out in the next month or two. So much. We haven't even started yet. The amount of volume that's going to increase on PulseChain as well alone is just. We're going to be up there competing with Binance, like, and obviously when we got up to that number 2 spot and we did flip Binance chain, CZ probably was like, "Oh, like launch the bots, like do a bit of watch trading." All of a sudden, he had over $1 billion, $1 billion worth of volume. Yeah, it just shows a lot of the people, the dirty tactics that are involved. Yeah, it just adds to the whole like. We prefer transparent, kind of honest, decentralized trading and just protocols, whereas Binance are like to do things behind closed doors and just dodgy kind of stuff and gatekeeping and things like that. I mean, we are on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, but once again, they haven't put or haven't even attempted to open a conversation up regarding the market cap issue. Obviously, there is a market cap, but they just maintain it at 0, whereas like OKX, they were immediately just putting the fully diluted market cap up, which puts PLS in the top 10, which is amazing because that's like the front page and you just see it immediately. It's basically just an advertising site, isn't it, at the end of the day, a coin ranking site. So they simply do not want to have it on their front page, and it's just things like that which become obvious over time for everyone involved. So
yeah, they're getting their backhanders, and of course they just want to. I mean, like you said, there's so much shady stuff going on, and it's crypto anyway. But then, of course, you get people. The shame is about this is that obviously newbies can't tell the difference. They come into crypto and they think CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap is legit. Why would they lie? Look how official the site is, right?
Exactly.
But then obviously people with a bit more experience in crypto and finance say, well, no, of course it's being manipulated because people are paid, and obviously others want to, they get paid $1 million, whatever, to list their coin on the site or to get on Binance. So a lot of smoke and mirrors in crypto, but the fact that it's still such early days, and some people are listing it properly, and it's getting on big exchanges like OKX. I think OKX is like the 18th biggest crypto exchange in the world, which is legit, man. You know, so it's got
yeah,
it's not
OKX
small.
is huge, mate. I think it's more Asia orientated, but it's huge, man. Like, and the fact that it's on there, because that was one thing with Hex before. Hex is only an ERC20, which, you know, you can kind of suppress that and gatekeep that quite easily. But with a layer 1, you can't really gatekeep it, especially when there's, you know, things like Dex Screener, which is showing like legit proof that it's like up there with the top 3, top 4 chains. You can't hide that stuff, man. So they're going to have to. And they already have, like, on CoinMarketCap, they have like a Dex ranking site as well. So PLS is up there in their top 10, I think it is. Anyway, so things like that, they are, the gates have to open, and the community is so huge now. Like, during that whole bear market, like, Hex was just going down and down and down. It was awful, and the amount of FUD that was coming in. But Hexicans are still there. We're still growing, whereas other communities would have just dissipated and kind of disappeared into thin air. I mean, obviously we have stakes and you know, laddered stakes and everything like that, which kind of keeps us together. Like, we can't go anywhere, but that is the whole core of it, isn't it? And we've just been growing. And now it's not just Hex, but it's PulseChain, it's PulseX. There's so much more to do over here, like with the farming. I'm sure you've done some farming as well, with that ink token, and it's just so much fun. Like, PulseChain for me has been so much fun, especially when it first came out, like during the ratio trading period. I initially said, right, I'm just going to sit on my hands. I think you did as well. You're just going to sit on your hands and just let the dust settle and just watch it all play out. But yeah, I did make a few trades.
Of course.
And it turned out really well. And you know what? It was because we had test nets, and because I could see the ratios of PLS compared to PLSX, I kind of had an idea. Obviously, it was just theory that, you know, it would do a similar thing. And that was, we would get a 1-to-4 ratio with PLS and PLSX, and it would just come down over time, because a lot of people who were in PLSX didn't get PLS, and they were the people that would shift and change that ratio. So I was, you know, switching up some PLS to PLSX, making a nice deal at like 3.6 or 3.8, and then now you can see it's come all the way down to 1-to-2, which is you basically almost double the amount of coins that you could have had. So I was doing some trades there. It's been really fun, man. And then obviously,
you've been in your element. You've been in your element, I know.
Yeah, just increasing the bags. It's, you know, I didn't really advocate for trading before, because you can get completely wrecked, and if you don't know what you're doing, you still will get completely wrecked, because you can find yourself jumping from one coin to the other, and then you end up with less coins than you had. But if you know what you're doing and you kind of understand, especially what we could see before with the test nets, that it was almost just too easy. And I'm sure there's quite a few people that took advantage of that. And we're all just sitting there now with slightly bigger bags and just ready, waiting for the pump to happen. So, yeah, man.
Oh man, it's like you said, there's so much going on. We'll definitely get into ink and all that later for sure. And, you know, the different plays you have been and, you know, are going to be playing, hopefully, if you're up for talking about that. But talking about Hexicans and how it's growing, just going back to that topic we were just on, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the Ehex versus Phex debate that's gone a little bit over the top on Twitter, should I say. I haven't really looked at that much. I've obviously seen some of it, but I've seen some people getting pretty heated. What's your take on it, man? What's your take on all this Ehex versus Phex? Is Ehex dead? Is Phex the new Hex? Like, what do you think?
Firstly, I think people need to just chill the fuck out. Sorry to swear on your show, but seriously,
That's fine.
Firstly, Ehex is not going to die. You're always going to have a certain amount of people that will buy a little bit of Ehex just to speculate or whatever. Also, people build things on have we seen in the Hex ecosystem, people love to build stuff. So don't count out Ehex just yet. In my personal preference right now, I prefer Phex over Ehex, and that's because I love PulseChain. I think it's awesome. I don't like the fees on Ethereum Hex. I don't think that means that Ehex is going to die. I think that just means that for now, and as you can see on the chart, it's about a 30% discount. And Richard has said this before, they can move together, but they don't necessarily have to move at parity. And we all, well, not all of us, but a lot of us were kind of hoping for parity, and that would have been cool. But which I think we're just going to see one that's slightly always cheaper than the other until someone perhaps builds something for bridged in Ehex on PulseChain. Maybe there's some protocol that can be built there to give it more of a use case. And also it's different now, because not only do you have your staking on Ehex, but people have bridged in Ehex. So you're taking Ehex off of the market and it's just stuck there on the bridge. So there's not that much Hex there in the liquidity pools anymore. So that also means price can move quite easily to the upside. I don't think Ehex will hold Hex on PulseChain down at all. Like, everything will move together. And you can see on the charts actually recently, Hex has performed quite well. As we've been going down, Hex has been stronger than PulseChain. It's been stronger than PulseX as well. It's managed to kind of maintain as we're kind of having that rebound. Like, Hex is up like 20 to 30% up in the last couple of days, compared to like Pulse, which is only like 15% or something like that. I'm not looking at the charts, but that's from memory. It's actually performing okay. And things like Hart's Law, everything moves together. I don't think Ehex is just going to be an anchor holding it down. People are always going to like it. So people just need to chill, man. Like, one thing, there's one thing to say Ehex is going to be cheaper, but there's another thing to say Ehex is going to die, because that's not true. It's not going to die. It's just going to be there. It's always going to be there. It'll probably be cheaper for a long time. But you know, we don't know what the future holds. People could be building stuff. You know, there's a lot of things that can change over time. To make that decision so early on, like, oh, Ehex should die and that's the end of it. That's just being a bit silly, because literally, like, in 2 weeks' time, maybe for whatever reason, Ehex can just come back to parity or whatever, and you're just going to.
Godwell starts buying it up.
Exactly. But I think for now, the market decides that Hex on PulseChain is more expensive, and that's how I feel. I would like to move from one to the other without any kind of ratio there at all. But it's just facts that PulseChain was built for Hex. PulseChain is the better chain. It's better than Ethereum. You can lock it up for a certain amount of time without worrying about the gas fees, especially smaller stakes. If you're only a small staker, you can't really stake on Ethereum. It's unusable. But obviously, if you're a bigger, you know, shark or dolphin or whatever, then you have more options. But still, right now, Phex is the better one for me personally. But that doesn't mean I want Ehex to die. So that's my take on it. And I just think people need to just chill out and think a little bit more before they get online, because perhaps other people don't want to see Ehex die because it's their bags, you know. So no one wants you to talk badly about their bags at the end of the day. And we all loved Ehex like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Why aren't we still loving it now? You know, it's all the same stuff. It's just, it will be cheaper. You can't get rid of it. People are always going to love it. So people just need to chill and find a place where they're okay with each other. We shouldn't turn this into a war. We're here together, right? We need to make Hex. You know, we need adoption for Hex. People don't need to come in and see infighting about what's this Ehex and Phex fight. You know, it needs to be. We need to understand that Ehex is likely going to be slightly cheaper, and that's it. That's the end of it. You know, and whatever the future holds for Ehex or bridged in Ehex, because that's a totally new PRC20, so that people can build for. There's lots of options there, and there's plenty of time. I'm sure someone will build something regarding bridged in Ehex at some point. So don't count it out just yet, but also stop infighting, basically. It's just
it's
silly
all opinions as well, isn't it? Remember, a lot of people, especially confident people, they're like, this is what's going to happen. It's like, that's not what anyone says. Most of the time, it never happens that way. Just like 2 more weeks, right? We were told PulseChain in 2 more weeks, or this is going to happen, or this is going to happen there. And it's fine. Everyone's allowed their subjective opinion, but just because you say it with confidence, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And then I think it's, you know, half 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, because someone says something that you don't agree with, and then another person takes it personally, and it's like people can have different worldviews and different opinions. I can't remember who it was, and I wouldn't even name them if I did, but I saw someone saying, like, if I see anyone say Ehex is dying or dead, I'm going to block you. And it's like, that's basically saying, if you've got a different worldview to me, I'm going to block you. And it's like, if someone wants to say Ehex is going to die, I don't want it to die. I don't believe it's going to die. And, you know, me and you have got stakes on both chains, so we want it to survive. But, you know, just if someone says Ehex is over and someone says PX is the new thing, whatever I believe, getting all stressed and cortisol flowing through my body and blocking people, it's like, just chill, man, and it'll play out how it's going to play out. And no one can predict the future, as we know over the last 2 years. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're spot on there with, like, no, everybody thinks they know, but no one really knows, because you can't know, because so many factors play in. Like I said, people can build things. There's always going to be a certain amount of people that still want their Ehex. Like you said, we're both staked out. I'm staked out for 15 years. I want my Ehex to be valuable. Whether it's slightly cheaper, okay, I can deal with that. That's fine. But parity, I really wanted parity before, you know, I really wanted parity. But as time is going on, it's becoming obvious that people just prefer, a lot of people are preferring Phex to Ehex simply because PulseChain is a superior chain. And that was the whole reason of PulseChain, that we had to, you know, get rid of the gas fees and continue to use Hex in the way it should be used. So it would be odd that it had parity, really, but it seems quite fair that there is a slight discount on it. And as time goes by, maybe the T-share factor does come into play, where the T-shares are more cheaper on Ehex in comparison to the price of Hex, but that could take years. Yeah, I just imagine if you're going to be making your stance right now, you've got to you got to be prepared for the backlash if it doesn't happen. And yeah, I think, and anyway, if Phex is the one and Ehex does come, we've all had our copies, so I'm okay with that. If Ehex did die, which it won't, right? If it did die, I'm still happy that I have all my copies over on PulseChain, and because I believe Phex is going to perform really well in this next bull market. I know with Pulse, we might see something like Ethereum and Ethereum's ERC20s. So a lot of the time, Ethereum will move up like 30-40%, for example, and the ERC20s can move up like multiple X's in the meantime. So we could see something like that, where Hex way outperforms PLS. And obviously PLSX outperforms PLS, and PLS becomes more of a kind of the less volatile one, where people would shift their gains or even losses back into PLS depending on the volatility and whether we're in a bear market or a bull market. But yeah, with Hex, people need to just chill. Let's just see how it plays out. The market is currently deciding. Some of us were expecting OA to step in, but obviously you can't really have expectations, and you just need to see how it's going to play out, because that is obviously still a possibility with no expectations.
So, exactly, man. I know you love your Hex, you always have, but you also love your PLS and your PLSX. And I'm wondering what your strategy has been. Is it just hodling? Is it farming? Are you looking to do anything else to increase your bags? What are you doing with your PLS and PLSX at the moment?
Yeah, so far I've made some good moves, and I've increased my PLSX bag using the ratio trading, and I've managed to switch all of that profit back into PLS. So nice. I have the same amount of PLS that I started with, but then I have like 10% more of my PLSX bag.
Nice.
So basically they're kind of a similar amount in each bag. So I'm quite content at the moment, but I also was in the Ehex and Hex LP and doing the ink farming, but I did pull that like a couple of days before that got pulled. That was ended. So, but you can still obviously provide liquidity there, and you can earn some fees from that without getting the ink. So a lot of people have been doing that as well. For me, I have sat some of my bags into the PLS and Hex pool, because that has been fairly consistent at a 1 to 100 ish kind of range, like a ratio. So that's actually quite a steady pool. And I've just been sitting in that, and I don't mind if I'm left with Hex or PLS. So the impermanent loss thing for me there is absolutely fine, as long as you're in a pool which you don't really care if you are left with more of one of the coin as the other coin goes up, then it's okay. And for me, that's PLS and Hex. So yeah, I'm playing the ink farm. I'm doing a bit of trading here and there. So for example, if I see the ratio of PLS and PLSX go from, we're currently at like 1 to 2.3. If that ever goes up to 1 to 3 point something again, you're going to see me shifting some more PLS into PLSX, because I believe over time PLSX will outperform PLS. And if you look at the gas fees as well, a lot of people were kind of put off by the gas fees. So once, what we're kind of imagining, because Hex did a 10,000x, we're expecting like PLS to do a 10,000x, but I think that's really in a short amount of time. You've kind of got to.
Sorry, but if you just go back a bit, I think you're getting a bit choppy there with the mic. Sorry, you were saying. There, you're back.
Okay.
You're back. Yeah.
Yeah. So with PLS, we can do numbers like 100x, 1000x. But when you start talking about 10,000x, that's a long way down the line. Like it really is. It's different to Hex. Hex, it was a different time, and Hex is an ERC20. That's, you can have a staking function, and it was smaller to begin with, whereas PLS has a lot of economic energy already in there. And to see those kind of gains would mean the gas prices would come up probably fairly similar to Ethereum. So you'd be at the same, you'd have the same problem with the gas fees.
Yeah.
But in saying that, 10 to 100x I think is possible with PLS, hopefully in the next bull run. And I'm just doing a bit of trading here and there, and just going to hold and hold and hold. And I think that's the best strategy for me. Like, everyone's different, and some people only manage to sacrifice the PLSX, so it's a bit different for them. They need to be able to shift some into PLS. But yeah, there's so many games you can play with. But for me, I'm just doing a bit of the ink farming with the PLS and Hex pair, just a bit of ratio trading between PLS and PLSX. And every now and again, with some profits, I'll be buying some Hex on PulseChain. I haven't thought about buying any Ehex yet with my gains, but I just want to kind of see how that plays out, because in my mind, for now, Hex on PulseChain is my favorable Hex, because I can just do a lot more with it. And yeah, that's basically my strategy. Obviously, I have, well, not obviously, but I have a Icosa and Hedron as well. And the thing with Hedron and Hex stakes is, one day I do hope that Hedron and Hex can go up enough that, a lot of people can just, if they need to sell, like to live off, for example, they can sell some of their Hedron and live off of their Hex, long-term Hex stakes, for example. That would be quite cool. And I do think we'll see that day. So there's a lot of different plays there with the Hedron and Icosa as well. I know Alex has got something in the works with a mysterious tweet he did, I think just yesterday, saying that he's basically building something that nobody has a clue what he's about to do, or something like that. And when he says something like that, it's usually something pretty special, and nobody's ever done it before. Something quite mysterious. So yeah, there's a lot of things the future holds. So for me, I'm just a little bit of ratio trading, ink farming, and just gonna hold and hold and hold until I'm absolutely freighted, and then I'll still hold. And then I'll just,
just sell a little bits here and there. Exactly. You never want to get rid of all your bags, do you?
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Well, like you were saying, it's like there is so many plays with everything you could do, right? There's 1,000,001 plays, but a lot of the time, just like you're doing a little bit, you're trying a little bit here and there, but on the whole, it's just holding long term, waiting for the bull market, and then shaving off here and there as and when you think you've hit certain price targets. And the fact that the one thing I like about you is Hex Turbo is that you always you have a plan, you go down the rabbit hole, and you stick to it pretty much. Now, you might do a little bit of ratio trading or a little bit of LPing, but you'll never use your full bag. You'll never put all your eggs in one basket. And I think, well, you're the one that, you know, basically babied me into crypto and told me how it works. And it's like, that's really, you know, to have a plan and stick to it. It's quite rare for people. It goes out the window, but with you, Turbo, you always stick to it. So apart from a little bit of ratio trading.
Yeah, yeah. That was the thing. It was too tempting after seeing the test nets, both 3 and 4, like confirmed it to me. And I was posting it on Twitter as well, like the ratios, and some people would kind of agree, but I did get a lot of people saying, "Oh, you can't use that as an example because it's just a test net. It's not real money." Yeah. And I'm just thinking, well, it's happened a few times now. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there who are going to be testing this out on how they're going to be making moves, and it just turned out exactly as it did on the test nets, and I took complete advantage of that. It was only with a small percentage of my bag, but that small percentage of my bag was enough to increase by 10% of my PLSX bag. And now I'm just happy, even if I don't do any more trading, just to sit on an enhanced amount of PLS and PLSX just from understanding that and using the test nets as a good example of what could happen. And that's why they were kind of put there, you know. So I'm just happy to hold and just watch it grow. I just can't wait for the next bull run because I think we've been going sideways for such a long time. BTC is pretty much a stable coin. We've been hanging around
and just hold all your everything in there, couldn't you? Because it's just chilling at that 20. What's it at now?
27.
Okay.
It's just ranging from like, yeah, it's basically a stable, like 27k to 30k. We're just there. The next bull run will happen. A lot of people saying it's 2025. You know, Bitcoin halvening is I think April next year, so that's not too far away. Things can just change like that, you know. And if I just think we're sitting in the right coins right now because there's so much excitement around it, and the fact that there's so many Hexicans and PulseChans and PulseExicans that are just gonna spread the word like wildfire, especially when the hype starts to happen. We were getting millions of tweets regarding PulseChain and PulseX. That's unheard of, man. Like what other coin do you see? Unless it's like a flavor of the week, like PP or whatever, or Pepe or there's PP and PP, yeah. But you just don't see it, man. You don't see it, and especially not on an L1. So I think things are going to get silly like next bull market. And if we get rid of all the weak hands now who are so disappointed that they didn't get 20x out the gate, then good, because you'll be buying back when we are 20x up. It's just, it's going to be, I can't wait. It's going to be brilliant. We're just going to watch it.
It'll be really interesting in the next bull run. Well, when do you think? So everyone's throwing around the next halvening. You think it's before then?
I think it's difficult. I think we're going to see a lot of sideways action for a long time. People need to get bored and kind of forget about crypto. That's what usually happens. People just kind of forget about it, and in the meantime, you just make a floor, and then you start moving up slowly, and then all of a sudden, I think towards the halvening. So I think December kind of time we'll probably see some massive volatility, December, January. But once that kind of clears up and we do head into the halvening, I think at that point we're going to start moving up. And moving up for Bitcoin, whether it's just a 5k increment, like let's say we get from 30k to 35k, 36k, that 6k right there is small in terms of Bitcoin because it's like 20%. But for PLSX holders, that 20% in Bitcoin of that move could mean like multiple X's because it's just exaggerated.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting thing, because Bitcoin doesn't need to move much, but if all it takes is a little bit of bullishness, a little bit of like, oh, it's the halvening now, time to move up, that kind of vibe, then we can see ourselves just go up multiple X's. And that's when people are just like in disbelief. And everyone who's kind of, I can't believe people have been selling at the low prices. It's crazy. Like,
it's just sacrilegious, man. Like you've waited 2 years and then you're dumping, you know, on a loss. I mean, I guess again, I don't want to judge people because who knows what their life circumstances are, but it just seems like what a waste. But
yeah, I understand for the big sacrifices, like, you know, they've been waiting a long time, but they're up. Like well, the Hexicans and people who sacrificed Hex, we sacrificed PulseChain when it was like 16 cents, 15 to like 18 cents, right? That's way higher than what it was recently before the launch. And if you sacrificed for Pulse X, you were up like a 10x compared to what it was. So not only have you maintained the amount of value that you locked it in with your Hex, but you also, like, especially, well, just before the pullback, you had a 2.5x on your PLS bag, which means your portfolio should be looking good. If you sacked Hex for the Pulse Chain and Pulse X, then your portfolio should be looking all right now. I know mine is. Like, my portfolio is looking pretty healthy. Now, most people that are in Bitcoin or just Ethereum, or maybe they bought some altcoins, they're probably looking pretty wrecked right now compared to what they were last bull market. But I'm actually up compared to the last time in the bull market. So, you know, if that's something to go by, then I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now, and we haven't even started the bull run. So
it's a good way to explain it to people, because like you said, people just look at the dollar value right now, and you're like, you have to take into consideration what you sacrificed and where it would have gone if you just held that asset. So
I had a Twitter fight with Eric Wall there, and back in the day he was saying that, oh, we've all lost 90% of our value because Hex has gone down 90%. And so that means the sacrifice has gone down 90%. And I was like, mate, that's impossible to say. Firstly, it doesn't exist yet, so you don't know that. And I believe that it will not go to those levels, considering that we sacrificed at that price, and there's the multiplier bonus as well. A lot of people are on 2x multiplier bonus, right? So you've already got the 2x on top of the profit that you're in right now. So it was quite funny because he's usually right, but on this, I'm Hex Turbo, mate, so he ain't got a chance.
No one's getting anything past you to do with the PulseChain ecosystem, Hex. There's one, you're my go-to guy. Like I said before, like if I need to know what's going on, I'm like, mate, I've just been focused on this. What's going on? I've heard this thing, and you're just like, right, let me fill you in. And even Eric Wall with all his bravado isn't going to get one past you, mate. So
exactly.
Going back to something we talked about earlier, touched on earlier, Ink. What are your thoughts on that? Some people are loving it. Some people are like, this is just a dumperoo token. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, initially I was thinking, right, with the Ink token, I didn't expect it to go up as much as it did. And you know what it is because no one has it. The only people that have it are the people who are Ink farming, right? And then there's the people who want to buy it off those people. And that was enough to send the price up. There's one ink that is printed every second, right, at the moment. So there just wasn't much of it. And I think speculation comes in, oh, maybe it's going to be used for this. There's going to be a use case. Rich is going to like make a use case for it. That adds to it. The hype was there and it went insane. I was loving it. But for me personally, I'm very wary of it at the moment. It's going to be an extremely volatile coin, both up and down, obviously. So I personally have been just selling it as I've been going, but not selling it into USDC or anything like that. I've been increasing my Pulse X and PulseChain and Hex positions. Whether it goes up massively in the future, that's cool with me, man. Like, because when you farm ink, you're constantly just getting it anyway. So it's like you're averaging out or averaging. Do you know what I mean? Like you're constantly being able to sell it for whatever price it is. Maybe at one day I'll just decide to hold on to a lot of that, but for now I just want to increase my PLSX and my PLS and my Hex positions, and Ink is a great way for me to do that. Now it could mean that I could be wrong in doing that, and it would have been better perhaps just to hold the Ink and just watch that increase, but we won't know how well it will perform until I think we have more details on if there is going to be a use case. If there's going to be a use case for Ink, like if something is built for around Ink, then we can see it go up massively. But I'm not going to speculate on that just yet. So for me, I'm going to farm. Maybe I'll hold a little bit and just basically sell it. But yeah, I think Ink is one of those tokens that nobody knows about, and it's just speculation and there's just not much of it. And I see a lot of people saying, well, I've heard a few people saying that they thought ink was going to go to like thousands of dollars. So I don't know how the rumors have been spreading
People
about
just
that.
say whatever, don't they? They just wake
It's
up and
like,
I'm going to say whatever today. I think this.
yeah, it's going to be the same price as Bitcoin, I heard. And it's like,
Wow.
wow,
Okay.
like we need to get like above 100 first before
People are
like you
mental.
start talking thousands. But yeah, people get hyped up and you do see these crazy numbers. Ink went up a lot, man. Like it really did. And I wasn't expecting that. And for me, it would have actually been better just to hold it and obviously sell at the top.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I'm quite happy with selling it as I did, because I sold some at the top. I sold some halfway there. So overall, I've got an average kind of, and I was buying into PLSX and PLS anyway, and Hex. So I'm quite happy to just consistently increase those bags. So I think as long as you're in any of those coins, actually, then you're probably going to make it. Ink is probably going to be a bit more volatile, but if you like volatility, then that's cool. So yeah, man, I do love a bit of ink.
Your ink is helping you with your basically increase your three little babies, the stash,
Exactly.
which is PulseX and the Hex. And you're the one that gave me the alpha on this. You were telling me first about some LPing and stuff, certain pools. I won't go into too much detail. And then I started doing a bit of LPing and just daily grabbing that ink and whatever I thought was on offer. And for me at the time, which was last week, PLSX seemed more on offer. I'd get more PLSX per ink. So I was increasing my PLS stack. And it all adds up, right? And if you believe in all these three coins, Hex, Pulse, and PulseX, like you're doing, you can farm, and then you can get your ink, and then swap it for something you really like. So yeah, it's a way to get more of what you want without actually having to get fiat into the system, isn't it?
Yeah, and exactly. You make a good point there. Like with PLSX, it was a good ratio. I think that was one thing I was looking out for. So if ink was up compared to PLSX, I would buy PLSX. If it was up more compared to PLS, for example, then I would get that. And depending on what day it was, they were all slightly different ratios. So I was always trying to get the one that was more down in comparison. And that's that, if you're going to trade or if you're going to buy, you want to buy when things are down, right? So if you're trying to trade ink for the one that's going up more, then over the long term, it's probably not the best play. So if you are going to buy,
you're getting less for your money every time you buy, basically.
Exactly. So that strategy for me moving forward is great, just for increasing all those three bags. And one day I probably will just hold on to a little bit of ink as well, just in case.
Just in case it goes to the moon, just in case it does hit, $30,000. It's like, I kept a few things in the back pocket just in case.
Exactly.
What do you think about this recent pullback? Obviously, any new coin, any layer one's going to have an up and then probably a down. Were you expecting this? Were you just like, this is standard?
I was definitely expecting a pullback. We had a pullback initially because I don't think people knew what to do. So we came out of the gates and it was really volatile. So I'm just looking at the chart now. So we had a lot of people complaining about PLSX at the time because it went below SAC and everyone was like, oh, I've waited a year for this and and it's below. And then all of a sudden we just started skyrocketing. The hype kicked in. Everything was just playing out perfectly. And you have to check yourself in those moments. And it's like, everyone's like way too overhyped now. There's probably going to be a pullback. And when we got the OKX listing, for me, that was kind of a little sign, because I know before with previous listings, a lot of the time when you get listed on an exchange, the price dumps. And I didn't know if that would be the case for OKX, but I was kind of thinking, I kind of hope it doesn't dump. And it did. As soon as it went on OKX, then the price started pulling back. And that was just probably people who are very experienced and they know that that's the time to sell. So a lot of people probably, especially the whales, started selling. And so when you look back on it, it's like, it was obvious. At the time, I was hoping it wasn't going to be the case. But yeah, totally normal. Absolutely normal. PLS, we're still above the sacrifice rate. And for me, that's really bullish. Like it's at 1.5 at the moment.
1.5, I checked, just before the stream.
Right. So that's like 50% above SAC. That's really good. We are below the SAC rate on PLSX. I just see that as opportunity. But yeah, mate, it's never going to go up in a straight line. It just never is. So this is our time. It's time to accumulate, you know, in my mind. We've pulled back like 40% or something like that. That's not, or 50%. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I think we just need to allow the dust to settle. It's totally normal for crypto. We did have the hype, and now we're just kind of in a phase of, well, there's lots of things coming out now. So you're going to see more protocols come out. You're going to see more exchanges. You're going to see more listings and just more people coming over. And I think this is the period, for accumulation. And if we do go down more, so be it. It just becomes more of an opportunity for people who haven't got in yet. But that's just how crypto is. And I think what we need now is we need Bitcoin to start moving, because even though a lot of people say, oh, it's not correlated, it kind of is. Like, if we're in a bull market with Bitcoin, then you can probably expect all of these coins to be going up as well, but just much faster. So it's just sideways, man. I think totally expected. Didn't really know when, but looking back, it was kind of obvious. And I think don't be disheartened by this. This is only the beginning. Like, if anyone out there is just thinking, oh, it's the end now and it's just going to be dumping forever, like, no, it won't. Eventually it'll turn around and we'll be back into all the hype that we were in before and loving it. So I think the biggest opportunity, looking at the charts, is probably PLSX, because that buy and burn obviously is fantastic, and we haven't even got single-sided staking yet. I think when we get single-sided staking, you're probably going to see a bit of a pump in PLSX, and that's probably going to be where it really starts to move against PLS. So for me, PLSX is pretty tasty, but then so is Hex. Because Hex on PulseChain has a completely new chart, that chart is looking really, really good. And if I go through some of the charts here, like PLS went up 915% from the bottom. PLSX went up 3,135 from the bottom, and Hex went up 1,310 from the bottom. So Hex has moved up from the bottom more than PLS. So for anyone thinking that Hex won't do very well, I think Hex is probably going to outperform PLS, the native token. And the chart for Hex on PulseChain is brand new and it's looking really healthy. So that's a really good. For me, we're just in a pullback moment, and we're just going to have some sideways action. If we go down a bit more, so be it. But eventually we're going to start going up again, man. It's as simple as that. I don't know when, but I do know that if Bitcoin's going up, then we're going to be going up. So
be dragged kind of up by the market.
Yeah,
a rising tide lifts all boats. And like you said, like PulseChain, it's early days. We've got a new layer 1, which is great, but nothing's really been launched on it significant yet, right? So we've got, obviously there's some memes, and there's, I think, was it Shib or Doge has been pumping on it or whatever. But again, that's more meme stuff. When we start taking into account PowerCity, liquid loans, all these protocols launching on top of it, fiat and all these things, then there's so much more utility. There's more, obviously, DeFi stuff, which is going to attract anyone, because, you get the kind of tribalism mindset in crypto, but also you get people who don't give an F about that and are just into the DeFi, right? And they want yield, and there's all these different yield generating methods as well going on. So man, I think bull market, more protocols launching on PulseChain, maybe a Richard Hart stream wouldn't go amiss as well at some point.
He did mention he's going to do a video. Now that's quite out of the norm for Richard, and it's probably the best way to address everything, because I think he'd be overwhelmed with a stream. Could you imagine the amount of like FUD comments and things like that? I think the best way for him to do it is to do it in a video, because he can literally say exactly what he means. He can like go over the video and make sure it's exactly what he means before he puts it out. Whereas on a live stream, sometimes you can say something and you can't take it back. Later you think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. He probably just doesn't want to have any kind of slipping moments like that. So I think a video is probably coming really soon. And I do miss his streams, because I think he's got I always learn from his streams. The amount of knowledge that he has is way beyond any kind of normal crypto influencer in this industry, right? So just to have him laying out some knowledge and just to have his thoughts on how everything's gone so far, I just think he's so busy, right? So if he can do this video and we can all kind of see where his head's at, I think, and that'll kind of resolve perhaps, or whether he can delve into it or not with the Ehex Phex situation. I don't know how much he's going to say on it, because obviously one wrong word or one word that says Ehex is dead, and there's just going to be it's just going to dump, and it's exactly. So he's got to be very careful with what he says with that, and I think a video is probably the best way to go. But looking forward to a stream.
For sure. What about you, man? What's going on with your content? I know you're streaming with quite a few different people, Crypto7, Money Gang Crypto. You've been on a few other channels. What about yourself? What's going on with your own personal content?
So I'm going to probably try and do every Tuesdays. Obviously today's Tuesday, so I'm doing it with you. But I think every Tuesdays I'm going to start putting out content, live streams every Tuesdays, Turbo Tuesdays, something like that. So,
TTs.
I'm going to build up the channel and do some charts and whatnot. So I think and then just appear on whoever wants me. So
yes, man.
That's what's going on with my channel.
Yeah, man, you were lying low, I think, while obviously much wasn't going on here and there. But now, obviously, PulseChain's out, you're back. And man, you're an asset to the UK Hex community, the worldwide Hex community. So I'm glad you're going to be getting back on your own content, having some filthy language, hopefully, with your charts.
Definitely. I just feel like I've been looking at the charts and everything, and just been so involved in everything that I feel I have something to offer, especially for the newer people who don't really, they get involved in the Hex community post and they're a bit lost. I feel like I can keep things quite basic, but yet have enough skills and knowledge to guide them in the right way. And man, I enjoy it as well. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it for any money. I'm not doing it. You won't even find adverts on my YouTube channel because or even a donation or anything like that. It's literally because I want to do it, and that's it.
For the love, mate. That's a true Hexican, a true Pulse community member. You are trying to get the word out, and man, good to have you back. Listen, bro, this has been dope as always, chatting to you, hearing your thoughts on PulseChain. Where can the peeps find more about you and obviously your channel, your Twitter and what's not?
Right, yeah. So Hex Turbo on Twitter, and my channel on YouTube is called Turbo Pulse. It's a little bit confusing, but that'll be on my Twitter profile as well, where you can find the link there. But Hex Turbo on Twitter.
Hex Turbo, all about your content, bro. Looking forward to it. Thanks for coming on, man. And you'll have to come back on pretty soon, and we'll catch up again,
mate.
Talking about charts, PulseChain, all that good stuff.
Sweet. It's been good, man. And let's go through this next bull market together.
Let's get freighted.
Yeah.
Hex Turbo, one legend. Definitely go and follow him on Twitter and his YouTube channel, which I will link below in the description box. And if you like this video, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you on the next one.